It's the Duffin Up Podcast.
All right, Duff Daddies and Duff Mamas, we have a very, very special guest on for you this evening. This man has over 70,000 TikTok followers, 4,000 Instagram followers, fantastic golf social media account. Absolutely love watching his stuff because he is the Sultan of the Stinger, the man, co-founder of Golfing Outlaws with Center Cut Golf on TikTok. And like I said before, absolutely fantastic player and a big positive mental health advocate for the game of golf as well. We welcome on DRas himself, Daniel Rasmussen. Daniel, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for letting me join here.
Absolutely. First question.
Dude, that we can't pass over the thing that is just gonna notice, and hopefully no one here watching it doesn't notice this, but that mustache that is on your face is absolutely fantastic. I love the mustache. Oh,
I'm just lazy. That's all it is. Like, this is maybe a week.
That's pretty good. I think it's coming back, the mustache.
oh, it's fine.
See this? This took 30 years. So don't worry. With the mustache, looks fantastic. So Daniel, first official question, since Tim rudely interrupted me with how great does your mustache look? Have you ever hit a bad stinger in your entire life? And please tell me what happened to make you hit a bad stinger? Because every video I've ever seen you hit, it just goes like a foot off the ground and it just goes.
I've actually hit a lot of bad stingers. So the way that it works is when I do a lot of filming, it's either so if I'm on a hole, like a lot of times you'll see me at hitting greens, which is basically my home course that I go to. And when I get up to a par 4 that I'm not going to go for with driver, if I do end up hitting stinger, it's typically I'll record it if the first hit's good. If it's not, I just go on and keep playing. So you guys basically only see the good ones, but there has been a lot of bad ones too.
That's how it should be.
Second question, how great is your editing so that the bad ones even look good? No, that is...
It's all about angles. That's all I'm going to tell you. If your angles is right, a lot of people can't tell if it's a bad one or not. So
what's your favorite club to hit a stinger with?
2-iron. I got 5 or 6 of them.
5 or 6 2-irons?
Yeah. So when I first started playing golf, I couldn't hit a driver to save my life.
Okay.
And the weirdest thing ever is I picked up a 2-iron, which was my first ever 2-iron was a Nike CCI. And that was my first ever 2-iron. And even in high school, I didn't pick up a driver. I just hit a 2-iron. Because I mean, even back then I was hitting a 2-iron anywhere from 230 to 250. And if anybody knows anything about high school, you're not playing long distances. I mean, you only really need that off the tee. Your max par 4 is probably maybe 420. So it's still just an easy 6-7 iron into the green at that age or less. And I mean, this was also one of my 32, so it was also 13 years ago. So clubs are different now too. Because I mean, when I went into, I don't know if you guys have seen my Nike 3-iron, that all black one that I have.
I have.
So
that thing is silky, silky smooth.
So that one I went in to get that one bent down to a 2-iron because it was that one and my CCI. And what they actually told me is my CCI is around 14 degrees. And I didn't even know that. And most 2-irons are 18-ish. So yeah, that shows you how different a lot of these clubs were and how they were made.
Your CCI was basically a de-lofted 3-wood almost, like a low, or I guess even at that point, like at a 14. I mean, I've heard of like 12.5 drivers, but I don't think I've ever heard of 4. So you were basically hitting a de-lofted. That's unbelievable. Thing must have just went like, whoa.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, it probably gets maybe at max 60, 70 feet off the ground.
Man.
And it just flies and rolls. So it'll carry probably 200 to 220 max, but it rolls. So if it's not wet out, the thing's just going to keep rolling, which is why I still have it and keep it. So
Third question. Have you heard of Links Golf? Because that sounds like the absolute, like, do you just want to play in the Open Championship next year? Because
Dude, I wish. I love
that
Links Golf.
sounds like the perfect way to play Links Golf right there. I am so jealous. I have the highest, and Timmy and well, Mike can approve. Mike knows I have the world's highest ball flight, and it goes good on my driver, but it goes high, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, my favorite course in the world is St. Andrews, and if I ever tried to play it, it would go like 50 yards, and just the wind would just be like, okay, it's coming back. So I would love to have that type of game right there. That sounds so much fun to play.
Yeah, in Minnesota, we have a lot of hybrid courses. So we have a lot of like links style, not actual links, but link style where there's not going to be a lot of trees. You're still going to have a lot of fescue, but it's not as hard and rolling like normal true links are. And then like the back nine or the front nine is going to be your traditional, trees everywhere, rough, that kind of style. So we have a lot of hybrids around here.
That's awesome. Yeah, a couple of our buddies, actually, they run a golf. I don't know if you've heard of Safe Par Golf or the Safe Par Golf podcast guys, Derek and Dominic, but they're also from Minnesota, and they really they talk about it. I want to get it from your side as well. So I asked them why, out of like most Midwestern states for golf, Minnesota gets the least amount of love, and they said because it's a frozen tundra 6 months of the year, and that's why. But I mean, with the 3M Open and 3M and in the Twin Cities, like Hazeltine is right. Like, why do you think it is that like there's not more, I guess, like recognition for Minnesota golf and the great Minnesota courses when you are right next to Wisconsin, and that's all anyone ever talks about when they go to the Midwest is how great Wisconsin courses are?
I think it's just because Wisconsin has more top 100 public courses. I mean, we have a lot of great courses, but they're all up north. A lot of them are going to be up in the Duluth area when you're getting more towards Canada side. So where I'm at is, let's just say the Twin Cities. So Duluth is about 2 hours, 2.5 hours north of me.
Gotcha.
And that's where you're going to get a lot more, just because inside the cities, if it's not an actual private course or semi-private, it's going to get a lot of wear and tear just from what COVID has done. Just because when that happened, I mean, these courses were jumping all over everything. They were trying to push out as many people as they can. They're sending people out front and back at the same time. Just a little bit different so they could get as much play as they could. But I mean, a lot of our courses, the nicer ones, I would say, are up north. And typically you can only play on those probably 5 months out of the year. I mean, things are starting to change just because we're not getting terrible winters anymore. Lately, it's just been a lot of wind and cold instead of a lot of snow. I mean, the past 2-3 years, I think my latest rounds have been end of November, middle of December, where I'm just in a quarter zip and pants playing tournaments. So, I mean, we're getting later and later, but it's just because of actual winters.
What's your like temperature, cut line? I'm not going out. It's 15 degrees. Is there one? Love it.
I don't have one. No.
That is the true Minnesotan right there. That is an unbelievable answer. I love that.
No, being in Minnesota, you can't really have one. Like a lot of people do. But like I said, we only get 7 or 6 months, 8 months out of the year to play. So you can't really have a temp. My biggest thing though is wind. I absolutely hate
That's
wind.
what I was gonna say. I was gonna say if it's windy, that's the worst.
Yeah, because I mean, if it's like 40 degrees and 20-mile-per-hour winds, you'll see me bundled up for sure. A lot of times I'll be like, maybe I'll go out, maybe I won't. But
if it's 15 and 20 degrees and 20-mile-per-hour winds, I think
most courses might be closed. So it all depends on if the ground's frozen or not, which is really weird too, because sometimes the ground will freeze and a week later we'll get a huge, I guess, hotspot that comes through and they'll reopen up the courses. Excuse me. So as long as there's not a lot of snow and a lot and the ground doesn't get frozen too far down, I guess, they'll allow people back onto play. So
teach me something. You kept saying Duluth, the town of Duluth in Minnesota. Is there any correlation to the Duluth Trading Company? It's clothes made for the nitty gritty person who works outside in the winter.
I want to say it's the home birthplace of it, if I'm not mistaken, because there's two Duluths. There's a Duluth, Georgia, and there's a Duluth, Minnesota. And the one that you're talking about, I'm pretty sure is Duluth, Minnesota.
I mean, it would make so much sense if that's originated.
But it's pretty much right on Lake Superior, which is right on the border of, I guess, Wisconsin and Minnesota at the same time. And then you're probably maybe, depending on the route that you go, 2.5 hours north to Canada, and you're touching Canada border. But that's pretty much where all the fishing is, all of our cabins are. Up we have a lot of our top, I think we have 3 or 4 top public courses on the top 100, and they're all up north. So like Madden's, actually I think there's 2 of Madden's up there. I can't think of another one, but they're all like resort cabin courses where they have 18 and 36. There might be one that has 54 holes on the resort too. But yeah, they're all up there.
That's awesome. Oh, hey, people listen to Duffin Up podcast. We're not just about golf. Last week we talked about cakes and pies. This week we're talking about Duluth Trading Company.
Duluth Trading Company is it's in Duluth, Minnesota. 999 Google reviews, 4.5 stars.
Wow,
place is killing it.
They're made for men like me too. They got the stretchiness, like it's wonderful. Oh, it's absolutely fantastic stuff.
I mean, that's where a lot of our number one fishing is too, is up north, where all those guys are at. Plus, I think there used to be a lot of railroad lines and trains and that kind of stuff. So a lot of workers up there will use it.
Are you a fisher? Are you a fisherman?
Yeah. So my Instagram channel actually used to be a fishing channel.
Come on.
So I went to school in Iowa. And so when I went there, weirdly enough, I took 9 years off of golf. So I went to school on a soccer scholarship. And then at school, we actually had a golf course on campus, but I probably used it maybe twice. I did more fishing, and that's where I actually learned how to hunt too in Iowa. So
very interesting. Was it one of the big Iowa schools, or was it Drake or what?
No, have you heard of Luther College?
I have not. Unfortunately.
So it's close. So Luther is close to Drake. The only reason why I say Luther is because we're a smaller D2 private college.
Gotcha.
So I always say Luther, and then I always say we're 45 minutes south of Luther. It's called Upper Iowa University. Gotcha. It's basically a sports school. So I would say 55% of the students there are athletes. And then the rest are going to be either international or like agriculture and farming.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, we know Mike and Tim are both big Providence College fans, and they know Drake as a former PC basketball coach. Keno Davis came from Drake before he went to so we know that they don't like Drake too much because Keno Davis was a horrendous coach, but he's still funny. But yeah, so I think we talked about Stinger season, which is my favorite season, watching all of your videos. But one thing I did want to talk about is when it's the winter time and you're at the driving range and it's in the bubble. Is that like I'm guessing it's very common in Minnesota, but what is it like kind of hitting what is it like kind of being in like that bubble? Like, do you ever get nervous if like you hit like a really high shot, you're gonna hit the roof? Like, if you go too far, could you put a hole in the bubble? Or is it just kind of like a normal driving range where it's too cold to be outside, so we're inside playing golf?
No, think of it more like have you guys ever played like baseball in a dome?
I have not, no, but I've been to baseball in a dome before, but yeah.
It's kind of, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's like hard PVC, like rubber or what that plastic is, So that's pretty much what the dome is filled up, and then it's air that just keeps it obviously from falling or collapsing on us.
Gotcha.
But so when I'm hitting out, there's actually a huge net, kind of like what you guys would hit, like say in your garage, those nets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same type of thing, but it's just stretched out farther so that it'll, I guess, slow down the ball and keep it from, the possibility of puncturing. If you hit the roof, it really doesn't matter. It just kind of glances and shoots it back towards the back of it anyways. Even if you hit the sides, it's kind of the same thing. It's deadening on the sides and pushes it back towards the back of the dome.
Brendan, you think he hits the roof, like all this stinger talk, like he ain't hitting no roof,
Actually, there's sometimes that I do. I'll take my wedge, my 56 and my 60, and there's like lines on the top of the roof, like little square sections, and we'll see how close we can get like towards ourselves. So see how quickly we can get the ball up and actually hit the roof. Or sometimes what we'll do is we'll have flop shot challenges too, to see how close we can actually get to the roof and only land it, like 20-30 yards from us.
That's awesome.
Because it's not really tall, and it's not really that long. It's only 62 yards long, I would say. And the height wise, I would probably say, honestly, almost the same. Because there's 2 levels up there, but as soon as you got on the second level, you can hit the top of the roof with like a 7-iron, almost pretty easy.
Is this like a company that builds these specific to like the polar climates? Is this a Topgolf, not a Topgolf?
No, it's not Topgolf. I honestly couldn't tell you. There's only 2 of them in Minnesota that I know of that are those domes. This one is now family owned. I don't know if they bought it out or if it's always been in the same family. But yeah, there's only 2 of them that I know of. One is right by me, and the other one is, well, I don't know. I want to say like Prior Lake or farther out west, kind of more towards Topgolf.
We've always been fighting on this podcast for some type of outdoor hitting bay in the winter time. We got a lot of more small, like inside simulator like stuff popping up where you're hitting.
Where are you guys at again?
Like, we're in New England. So I'm in Massachusetts, and Mike and Tim are both in Rhode Island. So very similar. I think we get 8 months instead of the 6 months like you were talking about. But yeah, when the winter comes around, no golf up here, unfortunately.
Yeah, you guys get a lot more lake effect though than we do.
It's kind of probably been similar to you. Like it hasn't been that bad lately. So even Timmy, I mean, I know we've gotten out like in December or January when sometimes it's cold, but as long as it's not windy and no snow, we'll get out. But Brian just sent me a TikTok today that they're like planning to build like these hotels where off your back patio is like a Topgolf. Like those are in the works. Like imagine staying at a hotel like for a weekend and being able to walk to your back patio and hit into a Topgolf type setting. That'd be dope.
And it's just going to be like Topgolf is now, though. There's going to be none up here. There's going to be like 70 in Arizona. It's like I can't buy so many plane tickets to Arizona just to go to a Topgolf. Damn it!
Yeah, but you get a room when you buy the Topgolf down there.
That's true. That is true.
I would say Topgolf has expanded a lot in the last 2 years. They opened up, I think, 15 new Topgolfs in the last 2 years. But that's worldwide. That's China, Mexico. Those are the international ones that I know. But they've also opened up some, I want to say Washington. They opened up 2 more in California. They're starting to expand to spots where you guys wouldn't see them too often. So hopefully they get on the East Coast sometime soon.
Yeah. So what they've been doing here a lot is doing like if there's a bar, so like banners at the Garden, like they have like 3 or 4 like the Topgolf sim rooms. So like they've started to do that, which is cool, but it's like it's not the same. It's not the same. No one can tell me it's the same, but it's at least something, you know what I mean? Where like we didn't like growing up. I mean, there were the only simulator you could ever go to was like a golf store where they were doing like fittings and stuff like that. But making it much more social and it's very interesting. And I give those guys all the credit. I mean, now there's a couple copycats here and there too, where it's just yeah.
I'm still thinking about that Top Golf at the back of your balcony in a hotel. I mean, when you go to a place, you need a place to stay. So you book a hotel room there. You wake up before you book rounds, whatever, 18, 27, 36 of the day. You wake up in the morning, you hit a bucket of balls off of the roof. You're ready to go tea time. Then you come back and try to fix whatever you couldn't do on the golf course. I mean, holy spumoni, that is fantastic. Who came up with that?
There's some ideas I've been thinking about. Me and my buddy might end up starting something kind of like that, but it's not an actual hotel that you stay at, but some 24-hour like simulators / outdoor simulators for here in Minnesota, where it's kind of obviously during the winter months, it's going to be the normal simulator where it's indoors. You'll have the top tracer, and then kind of during summer where you can open it up and still hit outside, or have we'll have a top deck patio too, where you can just hit off like Top Golf.
You can parlay some food and beverage with that. That's a good idea.
Room service. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it would be sweet.
Man, that sounds awesome.
So Dan, that's kind of a good transition to the next part. I mean, I see behind you, you have a whiteboard with some graduated cylinders on there, from like chemistry class, where you work up to a goal and you fill in the little, the colors. What are those goals back there? What are your goals with, TikTok and golf, and, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I started that board when I started TikTok.
Okay.
And I actually wasn't even going to start TikTok at all. One of my buddies said, dude, you have to, with how much you're posting on Instagram, just try it out for, like a month or two and see if you like it. And honestly, I got addicted, not to just the fact of TikTok, just because I like making videos though. I've always liked making videos of that sort, whether it was fishing or playing golf and that whatnot. And I just have an addictive personality. Let's just put it that way. So then when I try to figure out like, why is this not working? Like, I would spend so much time on one video. I'm like, this is actually a good video. Like, why isn't it get more views and stuff like that? And then I notice a crappy video that I just throw out is getting 3 times as many views as this one. So now I'm thinking, crap, I got to figure out what the algorithm is. And so I just kept going on with that part. And so my goals were basically just to see kind of how quickly I could get as high as I wanted to. Because I started off with Instagram first, like I mentioned. That was mainly fishing. Then I jumped onto YouTube. I think it was 2020 when I started that. And I was like, I want to switch everything over to golf. I want to start just focus on golf, mainly with pictures and videography, and just go from there and see where it can take me. And once COVID hit, super hard to do YouTube videos, just because at that point they didn't have shorts. So it was just hard to get a full 18 or even 3 holes in just to do a quick, short video, just because of how packed and everything was. And I wasn't always with my buddies at the same time. So it's just hard to do a lot of the filming. So that's why I really got kind of addicted to TikTok and jumped onto that, because it was easy. It kind of was the next Vine, figure out, okay, how can I do numbers here? And then, so I started creating goals for, I think originally when I started, it was like 500 followers, then like 1,000, then like 1,500, and just kind of did short goals that way. And it was, I think, June of 2021 is when my first video went viral. So there's one video on my page that talks about just my ball placements at that time when I started golf back up again. That one hit 3.6 million in, I think, like 2 days, 3 days. And that's when I saw the growth like really take off with followers. So then I was like, all right, we got to change this goal. I know I can hit certain ones. So I switched it from like 500 to 2,500 to now I want 100K followers on TikTok. I wanted 10K on Instagram, and then obviously 1,000 on YouTube. because that's what companies really actually look for. When you have those numbers, one, you can start making money on there, and two, companies look at that and like, okay, he's got some following, he's got some presence where, you know, we can start making known with different products. And so that's when I really jumped into and started making goals from what you can see on there. So the one on the left side is my TikTok one, where I think it took me 9 months to reach 10,000 followers. And then it took me another 6 months to gain another 50,000.
It's crazy. It's crazy what TikTok can do. It's like, and I know what you're talking about with the videos. Like I'll do like a 1 minute, like today, for example, I'll do a 1 minute video on like why with the PGA Tour stuff, like why it was like what explaining it, what I like about it, what I don't. It gets like 200 views. Then I do a Tiger Woods video and it gets 800,000 views. And I'm like, okay, I guess you want the 10-second Tiger Woods videos. Like, we'll just keep doing that.
People that, from what I found out, they will really pick and choose. So if your video is longer than like 15 seconds, it's got to be like an informational video. So it's got to be like how to hit a draw, how to fix a slice, where your ball positions, what are the best putters for you, like that kind of stuff, if it's going to be longer. But if it's not, then it's got to be something short and quick, and hope to God that you grab them within like the first 2 seconds. Otherwise, you're going to see everything go down. Because I don't know if you guys have looked at it. I hope you have. But when you click on your video, you can go to like the more data and everything like that. Pay attention to all that and just see how quickly viewers drop off. And then just kind of look at that video and be like, okay, why did they drop off? Oh, that's why. Because it took too long to get to like the hook part, or took too long to get to what I actually really wanted to talk to them about. So that's going to speak a lot of volume. Also, the other one is if you go to, I can't remember if they switched or not. It's like, it might be followers and then go all the way down the bottom. You'll see when your followers are on the most, kind of stick around that time. I normally post between 10 and 12 and probably 4 and 6, just because I'm central. So if I post at 10, I'm going to hit East Coast and West Coast all within about the same time. Yeah. Because if I post at, well, let's just say I post at 11, I'm going to hit you guys at noon when a lot of people are getting off or taking lunch breaks. 10 o'clock is probably when a lot of West Coast people are kind of getting up, like our younger generation is, or that's probably when they're first taking their coffee break too. And then 11 is just typically around when people here take lunch too. So between that 11 and 12. And then same thing at night, 4 o'clock here is going to hit, you know, when people are getting off work on the East Coast time. And if you push it to 5 o'clock, it's about the same. So between that 4 and 6 o'clock, people are getting off. They're typically checking their phones. So
I like it. Very smart. I like that. Okay. I gotta, I need to look back at that definitely and realize where to do my videos at. But that actually makes perfect sense. That's genius. Jeez. So I know, kind of want to talk to you a little bit about too, because I actually didn't know that part of it. You said you took 9 years off from golf, and you were pursuing other interests. What made you decide? What got you back? What happened when the bug bit you back? How did that occur?
Well, let's just put it this way. When I first started playing golf, it was my buddy, or I had 2 buddies that kind of got me into it. And then watching Tiger Woods play is when it really got me addicted and started playing.
Oh, yeah.
And when I took 9 years off, it was pretty much the exact same thing, because I started playing again in 18 when my buddy told me, hey, let's try it again. Let's try, what did I jump on? The Golf Channel Amateur Tour. So I was playing a bunch of those tournaments, and then it wasn't doing so well just because obviously it's my first year back, 9 years out of competition. Obviously everybody knows competition is a lot different play. But then once I saw Tiger Woods win the Masters again in 19, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Let's go. Like, there's no there's no time to just mess around and play. We got to get back into this. Like, this is the reason why we started. Plus there was also just some personal issues too that I was going through at the same time, which is kind of the whole reason why mental health is another big thing and why it plays a huge factor into golf and what I do. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for all of us, like growing up when we did, because I'm 30, Mike's you're 30, and then Tim's 29. Like, we were prime Tiger years. Like, we were right there. Like, he was coming up. We were younger. Everyone was getting into it. His first Masters win, unbelievable. And like, you know, me being like a little kid, and you're able to watch that. And then I was a lefty, so I also was a big Phil kid growing up too. And I don't think
You were a big Phil guy. You were a big Phil guy like 4 months ago.
Yeah, until like 6 months ago, I was.
I'll just let that fly.
Can't help it. When you're a lefty, there's so few of us. It was like Phil and Mike Weir.
He was growing.
The only thing good about Phil is his short game. That's about the only thing good about Phil. Otherwise,
his win at Kiowa, though. I mean, he was like starting to. He just whatever.
I know, it's sad. It's sad. But hey, he got $200 million from Liv, so you know what? I'm not. And his gambling addiction hopefully is gone. Probably not.
No, it's not.
It shouldn't be. I mean, with how much money he's pulling.
Now he's got a $200 million more to put on the ponies and hit the line. So
Dan, I love your listening to that story about, you know, you started like with simple goals and like you seem like, you know, a grinder, like seem like a guy who wouldn't take the easy way out like ever. I love listening to, you know, your story. And do you grind that way on the golf course too? Like, are you, you know, like, I mean, obviously you've played in some big time events. Like what's your approach on the golf course? Like how do you dial in?
It's honestly changed a lot over the years, just because when you first start off, you think you're supposed to be a lot better than you really are.
And when you watch, you think like you should be like, it should be easy.
And
especially when you watch Tiger Woods growing up.
Yeah. And even after you play for a while too, you start getting such high expectations that you realize are pretty much impossible at the same time. Because what you're thinking is the PGA Tour players are actually doing this as well, and 90% of the time they're not. Right. Like when you're from, you know, 100 to 120 yards, you're expecting to put that ball within 5 feet, 10 feet every time. The tour average isn't even that high. From 100 to 120. They're just only really showing you the top shots every single time when they're on TV.
You're so right. I saw something on Twitter today, like from 100 yards out, like if you're a scratch, you're making bogey like 10 times more than you're making birdie or something like that.
From 150 yards out, if I remember right, I think the tour average is about 15 feet.
That's crazy.
And we're expecting to put it every single time. We're thinking we're going to put it in 10 feet every time. And tour averages 15. And those guys are probably 10 times as better as us, just because their misses are a lot less terrible than ours. Let's put it that way.
Because they got a caddy, right? No.
Right. Yeah.
And they got, you know, I mean, I hit at 150, I'm hitting probably either my 8 or my 9 iron, like, freaking nowadays. Like, you got Will Zalatoris, who's this one of the skinniest humans I've ever seen in my life, and he goes out and at 150 he takes out like a 52-degree wedge, and I'm like, how is this possible? Like, I don't understand.
It's all flexibility. A lot of people don't understand that you don't really need a lot of muscle. It comes down to flexibility and how fast you can deliver that club at the bottom of your swing.
At the bottom,
because from your takeaway to about halfway down, everybody's the same. But it's how quick you can get it from that last third or quarter to the ball.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Because I mean, if you look at
Oh.
center cut's not skinny. Like he'll mid it, but that dude is flexible as all hell. And his average club head speed, I want to say is about 124, 125. And people don't realize that, but it's because he's flexible. He can deliver that club, the last third of it, faster than a lot of people can.
So what you're saying is instead of doing weight training, I should get in the Pilates room and make sure that like my body can go in like 17,000 different ways.
Well, I mean, both. You got to also be able to deliver the club pass too.
Brandon, let's just work on the stinger and getting the ball flight a little lower. He's a, like, Dan, would you agree that hitting a stinger, it's easier to draw it? Like you're more likely to keep it lower if you draw it than fade it, or? Because
No.
Brendan, no, it doesn't matter.
90% of the time, most players are, well, depending on how you hit yours.
Yeah.
But a lot of players are probably going to cut it more than anything.
Can you keep it lower drawing it, you think?
It depends. Because I mean,
thing.
if you guys have seen some of my escapes, those are all cuts. If I have to draw the ball, I'm not hitting a stinner. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
I will either try to figure out a different route or see if I can put it through an even smaller gap to hit a fade. Just because I know my miss is going to be right. I can draw the ball with the stinner, but I don't have 100% confidence that I can.
Gotcha.
It's
Hear
just
that, Mike? Score one for the cuts. Score one for the baby cuts. That's all that matters.
Again, though, it's just it all depends on.
I want Brendan.
It all depends on how you deliver the club, though. Because with me, obviously, to hit a stinner, you have to be steep. And what is steep? Steep means it's obviously the club face is going to be a lot open, which is why you have to swing more left. So if you see me, I'm trying to get out of it now from going very slow on my takeaway. But the reason why I go very slow on my takeaway is because I actually close the club face on my takeaway, and I want to make sure it gets to a certain degree when I actually close it before I go to the top. Just because when I get there, I know I don't have to do anything else, and I just deliver it that way.
Right.
So if I get a little too quick with the hands, it's going to come out left, or I might get a little push draw.
So that's interesting with your hands, you're coming a little left and you're leaving your club face open with the stinger. That's interesting to me.
Not really, because I mean, you're hitting left anyways. So a stinner, think about it. If the club face is always open because of how steep you are, you have to swing more left. Because if you don't, you're always going to hit it farther right than you think, just because of how steep it is. Because your hands are, so what I learned from, I think it's Toddy from TaylorMade, the main fitter guy, who does all the lessons. So he basically said it this way. So think of it this way. If your hands are here, your club face only has to get to there too. But if your hands are forward, you have to literally, there's a delay between the club face getting to the ball to where your hands are. But if it's the other way, so say your hands are behind the ball, it takes less time for the club face to square up than it would in front. So that's why with the stinner, you have, because you're trying to basically
drag.
Hit down and keep it as low as possible. So it's going to take longer time for that club face to close, which is the whole reason why I do close the club face at the beginning. Because otherwise, it's taken me a very long time to realize how I hit it. Because I mean, for the longest time, I couldn't keep them low. Otherwise, it would basically be a little chili dipper going right every single time for the same exact reason. But just like you guys, I would start it off at the back just to get that feeling. But then I would tee it up as I move forward just to get a little bit more. Because like I said, if you have it too far back and you're hitting so far down, a lot of times you're pinching it and it's just going to come out weird.
Yeah.
That's why I would tee it up at the same time too, just to get the natural feeling of hitting and releasing through.
I like that.
Good stuff.
Dude, I like the Morikawa. I like the slower Morikawa backswing. I've been trying to do that now too. I don't know. I don't twist. I'm not doing like the little twist in there, but like, I just feel like I have a little bit more control. So I think the slower backswing up top is great.
I just want
But if you don't pause enough at the top, it's a mess. I can tell you that right now.
So
I've done it for so long that sometimes it can be a little messy.
So you got like the little Hideki Matsuyama pause, or is it the Sanjay M pause, or what are you doing on that side?
I don't. Let's see if I can. I might have a video where I can just pull it up and show you. It's basically as soon as I get to the top, I'll get to a certain spot. You'll see both my legs will drop. I'll basically do a squat, and that's my pause, and then I start to accelerate through.
Interesting. I like that.
Because I mean,
probably why you hit the stinger so well.
I mean, I'm also a smaller guy. That's the only way we can actually hit the ball farther is by using the ground. Because if we don't use the ground, it's not going far at all.
I want Brennan to get in his backyard driving range. I want him to try to hit the biggest of draws, just flipping that wrist, coming inside out. I want to, because you hit a lot of left. You're a lefty, so a lot of right to lefters. But
he hates my cut. He hates my cut.
You can hit it a far away. It's like, I'm like, dude, you have so much room right. Like you're still aiming middle, maybe left side of the fairway, and it goes. And this is the other day at Hazleton. I'm like, we can pull it, but we're working in progress here. I have the same character flaws too.
You know how you can flip it a little bit, going to the left, put the ball a little bit farther back in your stance. So think about it. It's the exact same way. So because the ball is back, so don't put it too far back, but put it like maybe half a ball to a ball back.
Interesting.
Again, it's less time for the club to actually have to square up. So it's easier to flip your hands to get it to go right to left. You go forward, it's easier to hit the cut because it's taking longer for that club face to get there.
Love it.
I like it.
So it might help you.
Listen,
otherwise, I might have just destroyed your game and now you're going to do 90s.
Well,
Timmy's
give it a
go.
Timmy's going first. Timmy's going first on all 200 plus yard shots. So Brendan, when Timmy bombs one in the middle, I want you trying that.
I will. I promise.
Well, I'm going to tell you, ball in the back of your stance, and you're going to be great.
Look at the wrist.
Look at the wrist.
This is when you're going to have like 4 shanks in a row, and then you're going to come back and be like, we're never inviting him again.
4-man scramble. I mean, if we can't get it together, we'll be. Well,
oh man.
Oh geez.
Damn it! Just leave me and my cut alone. That's all I want him.
I'm sorry. You're just not. You're not open-minded. Sometimes.
Like
don't worry about it. All I do is play cuts. All I do is play cuts. It's only because I can control a cut better than I can control a draw. Because I mean, if I try to draw the ball, I overcook it, and sometimes it turns into a duck hook. Because the only 2 clubs that I can hit a draw with on command is my 3-wood and my 5-wood.
Yeah.
3-wood and 5-iron. Only 2 clubs.
I don't know. Like it's not a Bubba Watson banana cut either. Like it's not going like all the way to the right and then coming all the way back to the left. Like it's a little cut. It's a little.
No, I'm just joking with you, but I just think,
I know.
I like playing a cut too. Like if I had to get around a course in under 100, like, or someone shoot me, like I'd have to play a cut because like, but I feel like when you learn how to play a draw, like you can hit the ball as far as you possibly can, like, and I don't know, sometimes that's fun.
You will, I mean, you will get a lot more rollout from draws, but I mean, there's sometimes Kyle will hit cuts and he'll still outdrive everybody. I mean, that dude's just a freak of nature, but I mean, there's a lot of times I've seen him win off of cuts instead of draws. It all depends what you're comfortable with.
The ball far, so like to keep up, you gotta like figure out.
All right, this is it. Now we're trying to hit a draw this time. Like, we gotta outdraw. We gotta. He may win the carry, but we gotta have the roll. So we're gonna try and hit a draw. Oh, that's hilarious. So I know, Daniel, you talked about mental health being such a positive impact with golf, and I know last week on August 15th, you ended up doing 72 holes for, and if I'm saying the charity wrong, 72 holes for NAMI, correct? Is that the name of the charity? So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear kind of how you got involved with them. What was the backstory? I know this was the second year that you did it. So would love to hear kind of what made you decide to do this? How did you get involved with the group and everything along those lines?
72 holes in a day?
Yeah, walking.
Yeah. I get tired after 18, so 72. The calves would have been yelping,
No
not
caddy.
just barking.
No caddy. How's the back?
No, I use a push cart. That's about it.
That's smart.
Otherwise, yeah,
Smart.
back would have. Otherwise,
Oh.
I probably would have done a Sunday golf bag for the first 2 rounds, and then probably a normal bag afterwards, or vice versa. Normal bag and then a Sunday bag. But no, this year actually, I was less tired the next day than I was the year before. The year before, it took me a full day and a half to recover. This year, I actually almost went out the next day and played golf. But
That's crazy.
yeah. No, I mean, like I mentioned before, just there's a lot of, I guess, personal things that kind of has played a role. But I mean, everybody that plays golf can agree this. What is the number one sport that most likely relates to life itself?
Golf.
There's not
golf.
There's not another sport in life that relates directly to life.
You're gonna fail 95% of the time in golf. That's why.
Exactly. Like there's so many different things you can talk about. I mean, think about this. You play the same course, you can play it exactly the same way 5 days in a row and have a different outcome each one of those 5 days. Like, how many times have we tried the exact same thing over and over time and still come out with a different outcome? And it's never the one that we want. Like, there's so many different things that we can put golf into our lives and just go from there. And plus, how big of a mental issue, well, I shouldn't say issue, but let's change that. How many golfers are huge mental heads? Like, let's be real. We are all, what's the word that I'm looking for? Superstitious, and there's certain ways that we have to do it, and we always expect this way. We lose our temper very quickly on certain things. Like, golf plays a
Look at Tiger Woods. Like, he had it so in control on the golf course. And like,
you have to be. I mean,
and off the course, like, obviously he thought they probably were in control for the time he was being able to get away with stuff, but like, stuff blows up. Like, just think golf too, like what you're saying, it teaches you a lot of good stuff, like in the scoring and being alone, like being like a lot of times like accountable for, adding up strokes or, playing the right way, like treating people the right way. So I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the biggest things, speaking of Tiger, there's a lot of things that I take away from when I hear him speak all the time. But one of the biggest things is you have to stay in the moment. Golf is the quickest roller coaster ride you will ever have, which is just like life. Like, there's a lot of times where one thing will happen. And if you're going to sit there and dwell on that one thing, it's going to affect your next shot, which is just like life. If you sit there and you dwell on this one thing, how is it going to affect the next outcome that you're trying to get to? Is it going to take you longer? Are you going to get over it? Have you learned from it? Do you know what to do now? That's why when he goes, you have to live in the moment, because golf is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows in the matter of seconds. Because you can hit one of the best shots of your life and still have one of the worst turnouts.
Absolutely.
Which, that's just life in general. You're thinking, okay, like, what, this is going to go completely right, and you get it, it's a day up, and just absolutely disaster because of like one thing. Like, that's how quickly golf can turn, and that's how life is as well. And going through the personal things that I did and having family members and friends who've gone through certain issues like that and still battling things, my love of golf and what I've learned and having that, background with friends and family, I was like, there's no better way. And plus, you guys know, as a society, we don't care about mental health. We never have. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Like, they don't care. They just want to prescribe us drugs and keep the money coming and keep it flowing. They don't really talk about it because it's not an issue to them. It's more of, let's just prescribe them something, get them keep coming back, and hopefully that works. It's not, let's actually talk about it. Let's make this an actual, like, universal, I guess, healthcare, or make therapy free for everybody, because everybody needs it. Like, everybody goes through something, and sometimes we just can't get over it. And as a society, especially men in general, we're not taught to talk about stuff, which affects so many different parts of our lives. We're just taught to, suck it up and keep going on and on. And there's so much stuff that we deal with on a regular basis. It's like, who are we supposed to talk to? And I know a lot of people that they don't talk to, and they end up losing their life because of it. And so that's why just even the slightest things that I do, I just hope that maybe one person, it helps. Because as long as we can help one person every single time, I did my job. Like, I feel great about what I did.
Yeah, no. And that sounds amazing. And it is true. I mean, I think it's so much better now. And I think the generation after us will completely benefit from it. But I mean, growing up, I know you grew up in we grew up in the 90s, early 2000s. Like, that was like, we were the last barrier of like, no one cares, dude. Go back. Like, no one cares. Bring your pail, bring your lunch pail, do your job. No one can, like, it's crazy how much it's changed for the better with mental health, both in workplace, life, social life, everything like that. But I can't stress that enough, like, how much all of us have gone through that. And, you mentioned it as well with like in your own life as well, like going through different personal struggles, and being able to talk about it is so important. And I think a release, even though I'm sure, and Mike knows it and Tim knows it, I will get so mad out on the golf course by myself. But afterwards, no matter what, I'm always like, I still had fun today. I still had a good time talking with my friends, playing golf. And I feel like that also relates to life, where you may have, what you said before, like, you may have the worst day in the world, and you wake up the next day and you're like, all right, like, we can do better. Like, we'll do better this time, So, and that's always what brings me back to golf, and, what brings me back and for mental health as well. And I think it's such an important thing that, you're able to share and able to, play these rounds and have this charitable cause that you're able to give to NAMI as well.
Yeah, hopefully next year I want to do something a little bit different. Like, I want to still do it at the course, just because I know him, they all know me. Like, the fact that they allow me to just jump on, even during, like, the first year I did it was pretty much 4th of July weekend. And he let me jump on one of the busiest times, and he said, yep, go ahead, like, it's all yours, whatever you want to do. And same thing this year, he let me jump on. I had a few buddies come in the morning, then they left, and I had a couple other buddies come for the very last round as well too. So I mean, having that factor is awesome, but there's another part of me that wants to kind of do it a little bit bigger, like go to an actual course and where I can actually stream, just because where I'm at, it's kind of in the country, and for some reason my signal just goes in and out. Like, I'll have all the bars, everything. I'll even have their Wi-Fi every time, or on sometimes, but it can't signal boost far enough, which I found out there's also signal boosters that you can get for your phone. So I might try that out too, to see if it works. But I wanted to do something where, even if it's just a foursome, or getting 2 foursomes, to get 8 people to link up at, a golf course and do, where it's not just 72 holes, because for me this year, it wasn't too bad. Like the first round was just practice, but the fact that I kept the other 3 rounds all under 80 was amazing for me. Like last year, I didn't. I can tell you that right now. I think I had 1 round that was like 76, and I think the other 2 were over 80, just because I was dying. But next year, I want to do something where we can do like, you know, alternate shot or like a scramble or like different games inside. So you're not just sitting there hitting the ball for, you know, 240 shots, 270 shots, whatever it's going to take. So.
No, I mean, that sounds fantastic. I will say when you were posting up kind of like the night videos, I will say like when you were on the last couple holes for going in, I think it was 17 and 18 where you just had the flashlights out and you're like, did you just tee off like and just be like, I hope this goes straight? Like, because if not, I may not find it tonight.
You know what's really crazy? I don't know how my mind works like this. Like school, it never worked that way. Like I was pretty smart in school, but when it comes to golf, my mind is like a freak. Like I can tell you what I shot, what club I used, what distance I was at, the type of shot that I hit, everything like that. So those last 2 holes, when we teed off, I told everybody exactly where they were. Like I could tell just from the strike that no, it was off the toe, it's going left. Or it sounded more of a little like heel cut, so it's going to be on the right side. And that, sure enough, that's what it was.
So you're like you and Matthew Fitzpatrick right there, like 2 peas, 1 pod, like just being able to.
He's way smarter than me, but I've played enough with those guys where I can there's certain equipment that I can just tell what the sound is because he uses the same driver as I do. His irons are kind of like my old Mizuno, so I kind of know similar sounds of what it was too. So just by the sound, I could kind of tell where it was going to go. But yeah, those last 2 were hard, very hard. Well, actually, I should say 3. I parred 2 of them. I don't know how, and I think I doubled the par 3 because I think I've 3-jacked. No, I've 4-jacked.
Oh no.
Putting in the dark is so much harder than you think.
It's no fun unless
That's
you're
crazy.
Well,
That's awesome.
we literally would.
Timmy's, sorry, go ahead.
We would take the phone. We would have our flashlight, and then we would take our divot repair tool, stick it in the ground, hold our phone up against that so it'd shine on here, and then we would have someone go towards the hole and shine on the hole. So that's your only light that you can see. So you had to guess which way the breaks. Luckily, I played there all the time, so I kind of knew. But yeah, I still 4-jacked it on that green.
I'm not sure if you saw, but when you mentioned Mizuno, Timmy's eyes lit up like the 4th of July because he is also. I know you're playing Tacomas now, but he is our Mizuno guy. It is a cult. It's not as big of a cult as Ping. But it is a cult no matter what. It's a nice cult though. Ping guys not.
If we're talking cults, that's PXG.
That is true. And I mean, you see the we have friends of the program in the PXG cult, so I don't want to say it too bad. But
I mean, most of the guys that I know that use PXG, I love them. So it's not like I'd say that very softly, but no, like just how PXG used to be, that's pretty much what you could describe them as. They're getting a lot better now and how they're making their clubs and how they're delivering them. But yeah, back then they were definitely a cult.
I just love how it was started by the guy who founded GoDaddy.com, and he was like, well, I'm bored. Like, I'll make a golf company. And he just yells at us during his infomercials about how sexy his clubs are. And I'm like, it's an inanimate object, dude. It's not that sexy. Like, calm down.
Yeah. Well, he also, from what I know too, he was also, I think he was in the military too. And that's the whole reason why every single club has what it is. It's named after military, has all military numbers and stuff like that. Well, they also do a lot for military too, but
yeah, I know they give significant discounts for military guys too, which is, I mean, it's fantastic, but I do agree that there is a little bit of a culty side to PXG as well. I still keep it at Ping though, because I swear, like every time you say one bad thing about Ping, just the comments. It's like it's like they're ready. They're sitting there and they're like, hold, brothers, hold. There hasn't been a negative comment about Scotty too.
Say that about a Scotty.
I have an Odyssey putter. I'll never not play an Odyssey putter because I've hit Scotty's before and I just don't, for some reason, I just don't like it as much as my Odyssey putter. Ooh. Old Nike. Mike, you must love that.
Definitely.
Wow.
Well, I was gonna make a joke at the beginning of the podcast when you said you had 5 2-irons. I was like, so what are the other 9 clubs you're playing? But it seems
I've actually done that challenge before too.
Seems like you have a collection of a lot.
I'm not done yet.
How many Nike putters do you have?
And there's one more after this one that.
Oh my.
Okay, God. So just so we're all clear, you do realize that Tiger Woods' Nike putters were all Scotty Cameron's with Nike swooshes on them, correct? Like.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Well,
I'm sorry, he had one that was like a legitimate, because when he had the slingshots, he also had like a legitimate Nike made manufactured putter, and then his slingshots were manufactured by Miura, and then with the Nike swoop. They're all like that though. Like none of those clubs are actually, like, I feel like I could go on. I do go on for days about professional clubs, and like, you're not hitting the same clubs as pros ever. No one is. They're so customized. Like my brain goes nuts with it.
Are you shitting on this man's putters though?
No, I'm not. That's an amazing collection.
The fact that he knows.
That's not even. There's one more putter, and that's not even my game putter too. So I have 2, 4, 6. So I have 7 Nike putters, and the putter that I actually use is probably one of the most rarest putters out there. So it's an all one piece Nike unitized label putter. So from shaft down to the actual head is legit one piece runs through.
A piece of metal. Wow.
So you got to take extra care of that. Like,
yeah, sometimes I almost forget. I'm like,
yeah, chuck that thing.
You can't do this because there's only like 4 of them that I've ever seen online, so we can't break this.
I mean, you could probably fix it. I don't snap too.
I've only snapped 2 clubs. One was for a video, and one was actually because I was pissed off during a match. During high school, I snapped a wedge because it ended up costing us like a point to actually win our match. And the other one was the video that I did in the dome where I just snapped one on, because just to make that video that people like to blame their clubs, and it's the club's fault and not them. So that was the whole reason why I snapped it. And so many people are commenting, dude, don't you think it's your swing? I'm like, dude, have you looked at all my videos? My swing's fine. I'm making this video just to break it.
Oh, it was an old shaft. It wasn't up to par. I just wanted to break something.
It was a Callaway club. I didn't care about it.
I do have Callaway irons now. I will say that I used to have so like they're the new like I guess they're still they're the new Apexes. I guess they're still like, they're not game improvement, but they're like intermediates. Like they're thinner on the back. They're not straight blades, but they're thinner on the back. I used to have, and Mike knows, I used to have the old Clevelands where I swear to God, my back cavity was like it was like, and I was just like, why is my pitching wedge? Why is my pitching wedge only going 110 yards? And then I hit like my new ones, and I hit my pitching wedge like 135, 140, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, no, the new technology, plus I don't have this entire cavity on the back of my club that slows me down. This is good.
So my first set of clubs were my dad's club, so my grandpa's. They were the old Jack Nicklaus Wilsons, I think. So we're talking butter knife blades in actual
like 70s, right?
Those things are sick though, right?
And the actual woods.
Like the persimmons?
How old were you? How'd that separation go between you and them? Like, didn't you want to hold on to them and keep playing them?
Oh, I still have them. So, funny fact. Those were my first clubs, and when my swing is actually garbage, I'll go back to hitting those. because they're legit, you know, I'm talking like that thin on top and probably maybe that wide. So I mean, if you miss, you miss. They teach you right away what you're doing wrong, and when you can hit those, you can pretty much hit anything. But I mean, yeah, those were my first clubs, and then once I bought that 2-iron, I kind of got rid of the actual woods, and then I just went out and bought some cheap driver that I didn't care because it's not like I was going to use it anyways. I think I bought it at Minnesota has like a huge Minnesota sale at like the convention center or whatever, and I just went and bought like a random cheap driver just to throw in my bag. But yeah,
was it a Nike Sumo? Was it a Nike Sumo?
No, but I did have that driver. So my first ever
square. Oh,
my first ever set of clubs that I bought myself were the Nike Sumo Squatches, the 2s.
Gotcha.
And I did have the super driver.
That thing, I think they made it like I think the tour made it illegal because it was too big or like something like I forget what happened, but like people took it out of their bags because it was legitimately like too big and too square.
I think technically it was like 480 and you can only have 460, I believe. It was something like that.
This is a Wilson 9-iron. I don't know. It says Bang Pro on it on the back.
Here, I'll be right back. I think I have one down here.
This is my mom's set. I freaking love these clubs, these old Wilsons. Like, it's unbelievable how like this is like the most comfortable. My neighbor said you should bring it out. I hit it really good in the backyard. You should bring it out on the course. And I don't know why I don't. I did one time and actually did pretty good with it.
I feel like they're in every garage set of golf clubs, like at least one Wilson. That
Wilsons and like 1980s McGregors too, because that's when Nicholas bought McGregor and he started doing all the and he started like building McGregor into like a big company back in the 80s and 90s. So you see a lot of those. My dad had an old set of like John Jacobs, like, and they were old.
What do we got here? Oh my God, that's.
Woo.
So is that a Wilson or
that's Freewood? It's a Power Bite or Built. It is like Citation or whatever. So actual wood and like wiring.
225.
And then
carry.
this was
225.
So they're actually
they're
McGregors. They're not Wilsons.
Okay, but
that was wrong.
Yeah, that's all right. That was Jack when Jack bought McGregor, I think in like the 70s or the 80s or something like that. So that's probably why they're fucking beautiful though. Those things.
Yeah. And then here you guys go.
Oh,
there they are.
Oh,
that's the Squatch.
No, that's my first ever 2-iron.
Oh my God,
that's terrific.
Look at that. That thing is so skinny too.
I don't know why Nike stopped making golf clubs. That's the worst thing they ever could have done.
Well, I know the reason why they did it, but they never should have stopped making wedges and putters. They were onto something with all their wedges and putters. Probably the best clubs I've ever used. I still have their wedges, and I'll go back. Oh, actually, I forgot I brought that set in here. So the Spin Tour Velocities. These were probably the best wedges I've ever used in my life, just because of how heavy the head is and the way that they developed the bounce. Everything was just perfect on it. It took me 6-7 years to figure out a new wedge, and I finally went with Vokeys. It was the closest thing I could find, just with the heaviness of it.
Yeah, wedges are. I went to Club Champion, talk about breaking clubs. Sitting down, seeing the invoice, I'll never snap or break a club again. Like the shafts, the head, like everything's crazy. But
yeah, those guys, I know they like to upcharge a lot too.
Yeah, I got the TaylorMade there. It was expensive for sure. I got the TaylorMade wedges, but they got like a little fat thickness on the back. It's definitely different. Getting comfortable.
Did you get the mill grind 3s?
Yeah.
Those
yeah.
ones? Oh.
I mean, it's hard to tell, like hitting on a mat inside, but
see, that's my biggest thing. I wish we had a lot more places around here that did fittings outside.
Right.
Because I don't care what my fitting is inside. That's not going to tell me anything.
Right.
Because one, I hate hitting on simulators because I know I'm steep. So on simulators, it's going to read way more spin coming off that turf. Because I can spin a hell of a ball off of turf more than grass.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because stepping up to the simulator at Club Champion, like 15, 20-yard pulls, like shot after shot. Like, so I'm aiming like right side of the rough. Like that's how I had to set up, like to hit like shots in the fairway. But no, I ended up pulling the trigger and the rest is history. We're out here battling with 13 new clubs. I kept the putter because it's a Spalding, TP Mills Spalding putter. We'll never let it go.
What irons did you get?
I got the Hogan's.
Okay.
Were they the Pro Edge or something? But
right before they ended up giving up on golf.
They took them up. Did they stop making irons now? Because someone at Topgolf said that they took them off the shelf.
Yeah, Ben Hogan I don't know if they filed bankruptcy or just said we're done. They're done making clubs now.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, I'll have to. Those are going to be.
Those are like McGregor's. You got to hold on forever now.
2070. Those are going to be the.
You guys didn't hear that?
No, I did hear something about the Hogans being taken off the shelf, but I didn't know that they were going bankrupt.
I don't know if it was really bankrupt. I think it was just they weren't selling anymore because nobody, wanted them.
Gotcha. Well, I was striping them on turf.
So it was July 26th. They closed down.
Hell yeah! I went on like the 7th or no 11th.
You got the last ever Ben Hogan's, Mike.
Hey, they could be the new Nikes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I was
give it 10 years, everything's gonna be triple in value.
I will say you see like slingshots on night, like full set slingshots from Nike now. Like those things are going like crazy, like online.
If I wanted to make a lot of money, I have the 3-iron of this with an upgraded shaft. I could probably sell it for $500 if I wanted to.
Yeah,
that's how ridiculous Nike clubs are going for.
Really? Dave, Black Sale might just buy it straight from you because he's still got his Nikes.
I will never get rid of Nike clubs anymore. I was so stupid. I'm mad that I got rid of some of the ones that I did.
Interesting. Yeah, I was never a huge Nike fan, but I know like I always just judged them from their woods, which I know were like okay, not great, but all I hear about is how great the irons and the wedges were. So that's impressive.
Yeah, I've only ever used maybe 1 or 2 woods that I actually liked from Nike. Otherwise, yeah, I didn't really think their drivers or 3 woods were decent at all. I mean, the only reason why I picked up Nike is because I went from baseball to golf. So it's like I didn't know anything. Dude, I didn't get my first lesson until I was 30.
Yeah. No, I mean, Nike's just where it's at. Like, you always know what you're like. If you rock that swoosh on anything, like you're legit.
You're just hoping that everything was good at that point.
covering up my Adidas over here, making sure that no one can see my Adidas shirt. So we'll put that back here. Oh, I will say that the new Adidas, the DJ shoes from Adidas are very, very comfortable though. So I know everyone loves Nike stuff, but Adidas makes good golf stuff too, guys. Okay.
I will admit Adidas does make good golf shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, you really can't go wrong now with golf shoes. I feel like all of them, they all cost $300. They're all like you're walking on kittens and clouds. They're all comfortable as can be. I mean,
I wear them everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got mine in my backpack right now because I almost wore them to work accidentally today. I
wear all my golf clothes to work except for shoes. That's literally all my golf pants, all my golf polos. That's what I wear to work. Quarter zips.
I literally had them on this morning and I was walking out and luckily I just had a pair of sneakers in my backpack and I was like halfway walking to work, and I looked down and I realized, oh crap, I put the wrong pair of Adidas on. And I put my Adidas golf shoes, my spikeless golf shoes, instead of my sneakers on. And I was like, okay. And luckily I opened up my backpack and my sneakers were right there. So I was like, somehow this worked out. Oh man.
I don't want to say this, but I got khaki golf shoes. I wore them to a funeral the other day. It was just, comfortable, matched my bottoms, and they're true golf. They're so comfortable.
Was the departed a golfer?
He wasn't, but he great good athlete, just wonderful dad to a really good friend that I know, and I know he was the man. I did a little fib on Monday actually to golf with Nancy Monroe. I know Bob and Trony, when I got that text from your mom, Brendan, would have definitely wanted me to go play golf instead of sit behind a work desk. So I said,
it's always better. It's always better to go play golf than sit behind a work desk.
Hopefully my coworkers and bosses aren't listening, but took the afternoon.
I was just about to say, do we have to make our first official Duffin Up cut out of the podcast?
I'm in sales. I think I hit my numbers this month, so I think we're good. We're good.
Oh man, that is hilarious. All right, well, Daniel, we really appreciate it. We got a couple. We do kind of a couple rapid fire questions to end, and so I will turn these over to Timbo. Tim, take it away, kind sir.
Danny boy, simple question. First one, do you have any hole-in-ones?
No.
20. Welcome to the club.
That's neither.
What is it? 21, 22 years without any hole-in-ones?
Yeah, we're still chasing aces right now.
Dude, I've been so close so many times. I just doesn't want to go in.
Did you see the picture of the ball? Did you see I was like an Instagram thing and a TikTok thing where it was like legitimately in the hole, but it was like embedded, and everyone was like, no, not a hole in one. And I'm like, technically, yes, not a hole in one. Seriously thinking about counting that.
Honestly, I probably wouldn't. For me, I wouldn't. I would know. It always would be an asterisk in my head.
Right. Golf, letter of the rule. You got letter of the law.
And that's also good karma. Some good. I know we always say golfers are very superstitious. So if you don't count that, you know your one is right down the road for sure. The worst is when it's like one of your buddies.
For 20 years. Where's my one?
You'll count one in a scramble. You'll count one like if you play in like 9 holes. Like is that, or you have to count like. Is that how would you define a hole in one? Like if we play a hole on Friday and Timmy holes out on par 3, 6 hole, does that count? I think that counts.
I mean, as long as it's your first shot, tee box, like I don't see why it wouldn't count during a scramble or anything like that. I mean, why wouldn't you count it at a par 3 course too? A lot of them are legit par 3s. I mean, unless if you're at like one of those chip and putts where it's only 100 yards. 60 yards, I would just call it a hole out. I wouldn't call it a hole in one. But obviously, if I'm posting it on like Instagram or TikTok, I'm gonna call it a hole in one just to piss people off and see how many comments I can get from it.
That's actually a good point too. Like
the hater brigade would be so strong, so strong.
You're thinking like 65, 77. Hopefully you can play this game, 80, 85, who knows? But like if you're on your couple last legs, maybe you just get a membership to a local par 3 and just play it all the time and hope to get you one. I'm only asking for one.
I've been asking that for 20 years. I got people that legit just started a couple of years ago. They have already hit a hole in one. It's like, dude, wait your turn. Like that's not fair. I don't care how old you are, you just started.
All right, I want you to peek outside. I want you to look at your backyard. And I want you to picture a hole being there. I want you to picture your favorite hole, either a hole that exists in your local community or a hole that you have seen on TV at the PGA Tour. What is your favorite hole that you would want to play in your backyard? You can play it over and over again. It has all the scenery, whatever, the ocean, the mountains, whatever, that comes with it on the actual course. Which hole are you picking?
It's actually a real hole at Hitting Greens. It is a par 4. It's about 300 and let's just say 320 to 340. You go straight at the green, it's about 290, 300. But it's mainly a dogleg left. Green is slanted back to front like this. Left side of the green is all trees. Down the whole left side is all trees. It's a split fairway. So you got water that sits right at about the 150 to 140 mark. So it's a split fairway. So if you hit a fat shot, you're going in the water. There's trees on the right side as well, guarded too. So I mean, it's a pretty narrow fairway. You got a creek running through the fairway, and then it wraps back around and actually runs right in front of the green as well.
Oh my God.
What's the course called?
Hitting Greens.
Hitting Greens.
So here,
what do you do? What's the play?
I just always hit 2-iron because I mean, it's far enough for me. 2-iron will get me to anywhere between like 105 to some days I can get it to 65, just depending on how hard the course is, like the actual fairways, if it's rolling or not, or if there's wind in my face. Instagram. I just gotta go to my archives here because I'm pretty sure I posted a picture of it not too long ago. Otherwise, there is one other hole on that course that I would love to have in my backyard. I know it's going to be kind of hard to see, but so that's in front of the green.
Yeah.
So there's a creek that runs the way through. Yeah, and there's a bridge that goes.
That's like a Donald Ross almost, like one of those instead of it being like a bunker though, like with all the stilts and everything. That thing is beautiful.
Yeah, it wraps. I think it's 3/4 around, so it's on from the front left all the way to like the back right corner is all water as well. So if it hits and spins too hard, you go back into the water. I can't. You got to go like that way with it. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it looks like.
Yeah, there's a creek that runs in front and.
Yeah, left to right.
And so where the tee boxes are, yeah, you can. So when you see where the tee boxes are, you see it's just trees straight up along the left side, and they're tall enough where you overcook it, you're screwed. You get stuck in any of those trees, you got to either punch out to here or try to play up one and then come over top, which is absolutely stupid because if you play up one and try to land it on that green, 90% of the time you're going in the water.
You don't get one in your backyard. You only get you only get what hole is that? 2?
8.
No,
you can count the first fairway if you
wouldn't
want.
You wouldn't have the one hole.
I'm just joking.
We have never stated
I forgot about
that. We have never stated that. We have never stated you don't get
butting fairway
inbounds.
Yeah,
you just don't get a hole at the first hole. You get a fairway.
Which one is this? I know he does drive-bys. I want to see if I can find one of that hole. Otherwise, if you guys have seen, this is my second favorite hole on that course. So it's a longer par 4.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The thing is, where that water is,
yeah,
is pretty much, I would say, the average amateur driving distance. So it's around 250 to 260 if you don't play a cut. And those are tall weeds and stuff. And if you go too far left, there's overhanging trees that you have to hit a huge draw to a back to front sloping green that has a huge slope down to water. Otherwise, if you hit it too far right, there's about 100-foot huge oak tree sitting right in the middle that you got to go up and over.
Sounds like a first par 4.
Sounds like a piece of cake right there. Tin cup. He's not going to go under it. He's not going to go around it. He's going to go over it with a nice 7-iron.
Actually, that's typically what it is. It goes 2-iron to a 7-iron into the green.
I'm pumped to play Swansea Country Club on Friday. Pretty simple, pretty simple muni.
Yeah.
Perfect. Bimbo, we got one. We got the. We want to do the island one, or do we want to do cake versus pie again?
I'm so into that. All right. Every answer. I had a party this weekend.
Do not judge us. Do not judge us on this question because it is not golf related, but it is possibly the silliest yet funniest question I think I've ever.
I don't think I've heard it yet.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
you weren't on last week.
Oh, that's right. You would not believe it how split these answers are. We took a poll throughout the entire party at my work and everything like that. It's like 50-50. It's incredible, the answers. All right. Dan and Mike, do you think a pie would be more offended to be called a cake? Or do you think a cake would be more offended to be called a pie?
Exactly.
Cake offended to be called a pie.
Why? Everyone's reasons are amazing. They're never the same.
I don't really have a reason. I would say the same, but I can't think of a reason. I think just because of I think the only reason I can think of is just because of how you decorate it and all that kind of stuff. Because pies are just simple. I mean, it's just pie and then maybe some whipped cream on it. But cake, like there's so many different layers. There's so many different kinds that you can throw onto it. That would be my only thing is how you design a cake.
Maybe how you define a cake too. Like there's a lot like pancakes or just a cake. Like
that's true. Like bump cakes, cupcakes. You got all that.
Now what's a cheesecake?
My first thought was to the regular cake, but
that's the other thing. Why do we call it a cupcake?
It's not even close to a cake. It's a muffin. It's a muffin with.
Why do we call it a cupcake?
I think most of the time too, I like cake more. So, like,
see, I only like cake if it's ice cream cake. Otherwise, I'm eating pie.
I actually like pie more. I like most pies before. I would go like a blueberry pie. I would probably go blueberry pie over most cakes.
I feel like you know what you're gonna get more with cakes than pies. Some pies.
Oh, hard disagree.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a bad apple pie?
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
America was based on baseball.
Did you cook it or what?
No, like store bought. I'm thinking store bought. Like I'm thinking store bought cake versus store bought pie.
I've never had a bad apple pie though.
I've never had a bad apple pie.
I love this.
I want to know the other question though.
Yeah, oh no, we're getting there, but like we just need to take like a couple seconds to be like, how have you had a bad apple pie?
And even if the apple pie is bad, you cover it up with ice cream. That's the whole reason.
That is also true.
Well,
so how can you ever have a bad apple pie?
I don't know if you've ever talked to a bigger ice cream person than me. I'm a huge ice cream guy.
You and Matt Boland, I have seen Michael and Matt and my cousin Matt eat a gallon of ice cream each, just in sittings, just going, like it's nuts. Okay,
but we're not throwing. You can't throw ice cream in here now because I'm having ice cream every day.
You can have a dry cake and you can throw ice cream on it too.
Yes,
Okay.
You
but
can
still,
have cake and
I've
ice
never
cream.
really had a bad apple pie. So
yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe there's some bad.
I mean, I guess the only way you could have a bad apple pie is if you left it in there way too long, because then sometimes the actual like filling apple, yeah,
a little mushy, a little.
Well, I mean, you want the mushy, but like the actual crust part is dry, and that's where it's like not everything tastes good. Ooh. So maybe, but I've never had one.
This may be controversial, but I think I like cold apple pie better than hot apple pie.
If I don't have ice cream, yes.
Okay.
If you have ice cream, you're going hot apple pie, so the ice cream melts. So it's 100%. Like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cold apple pie without ice cream, hot apple pie with ice cream. See, I know we have one last question, but I'm kind of in on like this whole pie thing. One pie you can get rid of. We're doing one second to last question. One pie you can get rid of. What pie you getting rid of? My answer will surprise everyone, but at the same time, I think it's 1,000% correct.
Pecan.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's pecan because that's really like the only pie I don't even like, so I don't care if it's off the board.
I'm out.
I'm guessing you're saying French silk.
No, pumpkin.
Oh, I guess
just recently started liking pumpkin. I'm a non-pumpkin pie now.
So out. I'm just so out on pumpkin everything and like.
What?
Oh yeah. See, New England, like, I think apple is such a better flavor than pumpkin. Period. But like,
is pumpkin pie a Thanksgiving pie or a Christmas pie?
Both.
Oh, it's a Thanksgiving pie.
But what is it more?
All right, we're gonna turn into the Duffin Pie podcast soon. Oh, we do have
but
one
another
final.
thing, it just took me till this year to actually start liking cheesecake.
Or like
It took me. It took me.
I've had bad cheesecake.
Welcome to the correct side.
I love cheesecake.
I think I would eat. I think that is my 100%. I think, and a good like cheesecake from like a legit, like the Cheesecake Factory, I do consider legit because the cheesecakes there are fantastic. But like if you go to a bakery that knows how to make it and you get like either just a regular cheesecake or if you get like an Oreo or a marble cheesecake, it is.
All I need is like the New York style, maybe a little strawberry on top. It's dynamite.
You got to cut this podcast in half and then just do part 2.
Pie.
No, right?
Pie versus cake.
Pies and cakes.
Hey, I want to hear the answer to this next question.
Yes, we do have our last question. Daniel, Timbo, take it away.
All right. Dan, you are stranded. You're stranded on an island. You have unlimited golf balls, unlimited Pro V1s, TPXs, whatever you use in your golf bag, but you can only bring one club. Which club are you bringing?
2-iron. Which one though?
Yeah, which one?
That's a better question, right? Like instead of it just being a 2-iron, which 2-iron are you bringing?
Is it 2-iron? I don't want to give any answers.
It is 2-iron, yeah. I would probably say it would have to be between my Mizuno and Srixon right now. The only reason why is because that one, I don't like the offset on it. So it's a little weirder on certain shots that I can hit. Just because I don't know if you guys have seen, I can legit flop shot 2-irons. I can do all that kind of stuff with 2-irons. So that's why I would do more of my Mizuno or Srixon, because obviously the gapper, too much of a cavity back or whatever you want to call it. My other one, which is kind of like my black ones, it's a silver and yellow Nike one. That one kind of the same thing. It's a little bit harder to do flop shots. So those two, just because of the different shop shapes and stuff that I can hit with them.
Love it. Absolutely. We knew the club, but we made it a little bit more difficult on that side. Do we want? No, I was about to say, are we back in on pies already? But Daniel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Everyone, please go follow DRas Golf on Instagram, on TikTok, on his YouTube page. It's absolutely fantastic content. It is not like our silly content. It is actual good golf, and it's impressively good golf. So for the most part, maybe one or two bad stingers here or there. Maybe you should start throwing those in though, just to keep yourself grounded. No, I'm not on the grounded side, but to keep coming back.
I just did not too long ago. I threw on, it might have been 2 videos ago, where it's me. You know how I do all my escapes going through trees and stuff. I just threw in where
escape. I was like, okay, he's not immortal. Like he's secretly one of us.
I hit trees every now and then.
Oh man. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Great time.
Absolutely.